Today's video is dancing dry erase figures.
Woo! The materials you need for today's experiment are
A dry erase marker,
some water,
aluminum foil.
and a plate or another container.
We're going to be pouring water into our container, so make sure it's something water won't spill out of.
So first, you're going to roll out a sheet of aluminum foil that covers your container, and then lay it on top of your container and press down so that it covers the top. And then once you're done with that, fold up the edges so that water won't spill over when we pour it into the container.
So now we're going to use our dry erase marker to draw our picture. You can draw anything you'd like.
After you finish your drawings, you're going to slowly pour some water into the aluminum foil container and then watch what happens after we pour the water. So, as you saw in our last shot, we drew two people figures as our drawings on the aluminum foil. However, when we poured water onto the foil, they didn't actually lift up. So, what did we do next to fix it?
We tried a few different things. First, we used a new piece of aluminum foil. And then when that still didn't work, we drew smaller figures. So here are our ovals, and when we went over them a few times and then poured water, we got them to lift, and now they move. What we found worked best was when we drew a figure that was small and we went over it numerous times. When you're drawing, make sure that it's dark against the aluminum foil.
Sometimes science experiments don't always work out how we want them to. That's the important part of trial and error.
So let's think about the science behind the experiment that we did today. Why do you think we used dry erase markers? And also, why do you think we used aluminum foil? Think about these questions and then join us next week for our next experiment.
Hi, my name is Celia Cornegay. I'm a third-year civil engineering major here at Georgia Tech, and today we will be talking about adhesion and buoyancy and how it relates to the experiment you saw in the video. Adhesion is a property that describes how well two things stick together. In the experiment, we studied the ink sticking to the aluminum foil. Like you saw, the ink did not stick very well to the aluminum foil, so we would say it is not very adhesive. This is why it is so easy to wipe dry erase markers off of whiteboards in school. Now, how did the ink float? The ink from the markers could not dissolve in water, so that's how the drawing did not get washed away. The ink from the markers is less dense in water, so it becomes buoyant and floats. This means that the molecules in the ink are packed less closely than the molecules in water. When an object is less dense than the water, it becomes buoyant and floats. When an object is more dense than water, it sinks. Now, what do you think would happen if we used a paper plate instead of aluminum foil? Think back to when we first talked about adhesion. The aluminum foil and the ink were not very adhesive, but when you use a more porous material like a paper plate, the ink becomes absorbed in the material, and therefore you do not have the same effect as the ink floating in the water.
Hi everyone, my name is Sophia and I'm a second-year chemical engineering major. In today's experiment, we use dry erase markers to see our drawings float. If we use permanent markers instead, we would see that the permanent marker drawing sticks to the pan. This happens because of the different components of the markers. Permanent markers have an acrylic polymer, or material that helps the ink stick to the surface. Dry erase markers, however, have an oily silicone polymer that helps make the ink erasable, which is why we can use dry erase markers on whiteboards. This oily polymer in dry erase markers stops the ink from sticking to the surface. So when water is added, the dry erase marker drawing detaches from the surface while the permanent marker drawing remains on the pan. Because ink does not dissolve in water and is less dense than water, the ink will float to the surface, and you will have a dry erase marker drawing dancing around on the top of the water.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.